Welcome to Stories for Sleep Well, your peaceful place to relax and drift into a deep, restful sleep. Before we begin, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us in the comments where you're listening from, what country, and what time it is there. Take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, as if you were gathering all the calmness of the night into your chest. Exhale gently, letting go of any weight your body still carries. Once more, breathe in, drawing a soft thread of peace into yourself. And as you breathe out, allow your shoulders to loosen, your face to soften, your eyelids to rest without effort. Feel your breathing become steady, natural, like the rhythm of an old song. Your mind has nowhere to rush, nothing to solve, nothing to hold on to. Just listen, just drift. Imagine yourself in a safe, quiet place, your bed, your chair, or perhaps somewhere new. The world grows hushed. Darkness is gentle, like a blanket that embraces you. And from this stillness, a journey begins. A slow, dreamlike journey to a place where time itself has chosen to fall asleep. Once, on a calm and quiet night, a lone traveler walked along a narrow path. Above him, the moon spilled silver light across the fields, and every step he took pressed a soft crunch into the gravel beneath his feet. The traveler was not in a hurry. In truth, he walked simply for the pleasure of feeling the night air brush against his skin and the gentle whisper of the wind weaving through the trees. Though he had been on the road for many hours, no weariness clung to him now. On either side of the path rose tall stone walls, ancient and forgotten. They were heavy with ivy, moss, and the patient embrace of time. Shadows danced upon their surfaces, as though the night itself wished to write quiet stories upon the cracks. The traveler paused. Something had caught his eye, an unusual shape in the wall ahead. The ivy here was so thick it looked like a velvet curtain of green. And there, hidden beneath the leaves, he noticed the faint outline of an arch and the dull gleam of rusted hinges. A door that time had tried to conceal. He drew closer, brushing the leaves aside with his hand. The wood was rough beneath his fingertips, cold and strong, yet strangely welcoming. He pressed a little harder, and the ivy shifted away, revealing the old shape more clearly. The door was closed, but not locked. It seemed only to be waiting. With a careful push, the door opened. The sound was not sharp or startling, but soft, as though the wood had been longing for this moment. And beyond the threshold, there was no darkness. Instead, a golden glow stretched out, gentle as a sunrise caught in eternal stillness. It lit a pathway into a secret garden, hidden from the world. The traveler stepped through. At once, the sounds of the outside vanished. No crickets, no wind, no footsteps, only silence, deep and perfect, wrapping itself around him like a warm cloak. Before his eyes stretched a vast garden. Paths of stone curved among flowers of countless colors. Trees rose like ancient guardians, and everywhere, clocks. Tall grandfather clocks standing in the grass. Pocket watches dangling from branches like silver fruit. Hourglasses perched on pedestals, their sands frozen mid-fall. Not one of them moved. Their hands were caught in different hours, stilled forever, as if time itself had chosen to rest here. The traveler walked forward slowly. The air smelled of jasmine, of damp earth, and something sweet he could not quite name. A golden shimmer seemed to float in the atmosphere, like stardust suspended just for him. Each breath he took felt lighter, deeper, as though the garden invited him to release every burden he had carried. He wandered until he came to a small clearing. There, standing in a circle, were tall clocks with polished wooden cases. Though none of them ticked, there was no sense of loss, no unease. Instead, they seemed to whisper silently, "Here, you do not need to hurry. Here, you may rest." The traveler closed his eyes. He drew in one long, quiet breath, and let the silence of the garden surround him, soft as a dream, timeless as sleep. The traveler opened his eyes once more, feeling calmer than he had in many seasons of wandering. The garden stretched ahead, inviting him deeper, its air filled with that same golden stillness. He let his feet carry him, unhurried, along a winding path of pale stone. This path was unlike the one outside the walls. Here, the stones seemed to glow softly, as though they had absorbed the light of countless sunsets. The edges were lined with soft moss, cool and velvety under his fingertips when he brushed it gently. Soon, the traveler noticed something remarkable. On either side of the path stood great hourglasses, taller than a man, their glass vessels shining faintly in the light. They rested upon carved pedestals, each one etched with symbols he could not read. And within those hourglasses, the sand moved differently. Some grains fell slowly, drifting like snow through still air. Others cascaded swiftly, a silver rush, vanishing before his eyes. And some hourglasses were utterly still, their sand hanging mid-fall, as though time itself had paused to catch its breath. The traveler walked slowly among them. As he passed each one, he felt a different sensation stir within him. The slowest hourglasses brought peace, his breathing deepening, his shoulders easing into rest. The swiftest ones filled him with a flicker of memory, moments of haste, days that had flown too quickly. And the silent, unmoving ones brought a strange wonder, as though he stood at the edge of eternity. He stopped before one with golden sand. It shimmered as it fell, each grain sparkling like a tiny sun. He thought of the mornings he had greeted on his journeys, the warmth of firelight, the promise of new beginnings. For a moment, it felt as though he were standing at the edge of every sunrise he had ever known. Farther along, he found an hourglass filled with silver sand. The grains moved so quickly that he could barely follow them with his eyes. And as he watched, he remembered the days that had rushed past him in his youth, when time seemed endless, and yet vanished in the blink of an eye. The memory was not sharp, not painful, only a soft reminder that every moment had its place, its season, its rhythm. Then, at the end of the path, the traveler stood before an hourglass unlike any other. Its sand was neither gold nor silver, but a deep, shimmering blue. And in this hourglass, the sand hung motionless in the air, frozen mid-fall, glittering like stars caught in crystal. The traveler leaned closer. For a moment, he thought he heard something. Not a sound, exactly, but a presence. As though the stillness itself were speaking to him, whispering, "Here, there is no past, no future. Only now, only rest." He breathed deeply. The scent of the garden shifted, lavender now, cool and calming, carried on the gentlest of breezes. The traveler sat upon a bench of stone beside the blue hourglass. He closed his eyes, letting the silence soak into his bones. The longer he sat, the more he felt that time was not passing at all. There was only breath, only stillness, only peace. The path, the hourglasses, the entire garden seemed to wait with him, unhurried, eternal. At last, when he opened his eyes again, the light of the garden had not changed. The golden glow remained steady. The sands shimmered just as before. And yet the traveler felt as though he had rested through many lifetimes of dreams. Rising slowly, he continued along the path. The hourglasses stood silent behind him, their secrets intact, as though they had only been waiting to share a glimpse of their truth. Ahead, the garden stretched onward, guiding him toward a vast shape of glass and iron glimmering in the distance. It looked like a great greenhouse shining beneath the stars, and from within, he thought he could see petals unfolding like the hands of a clock. The traveler smiled softly. His journey had only just begun, and so he stepped forward toward the glowing glass structure waiting patiently among the trees. The traveler approached the glowing structure at the heart of the garden. It was a greenhouse, enormous and delicate, its glass panels framed with twisting iron, catching the golden light of the garden and reflecting it like a gentle flame. The air around it shimmered softly, carrying the scent of earth and dew, a promise of something extraordinary inside. He stepped closer, brushing a fingertip against the cool iron frame. Beyond the violet flower, he noticed a row of tulips, their tips shimmering with gold dust. The tulips moved in quiet harmony, swaying as if marking seconds in a dance only they could hear. The traveler imagined that each flower held a memory, a fragment of time from countless lives. And standing there, he felt as though he could touch those memories, that each petal carried a whisper of someone's laughter, a sigh of contentment, a pause in a hurried day. A soft sound reached his ears, almost imperceptible, like the hum of a clock hidden in the soil. Following the sound, he came to a small table in the center of the greenhouse, where a gardener sat. The gardener was old, with eyes gentle and warm, and hands that moved slowly, tending each flower with loving care. He seemed to sense the traveler's arrival without looking up, and his presence brought a quiet reassurance. "Welcome," the gardener said softly, his voice blending with the gentle rustle of petals. "This is a place where time blooms, where the minutes and hours take the form of something soft, something alive." The traveler nodded, walking carefully among the plants. He noticed flowers that ticked like clocks, blossoms whose petals expanded and contracted in perfect, endless rhythm. He lingered at each one, letting the simple, serene movements wash over him. Here, there was no hurry, no rush. Even the smallest gestures of nature seemed to breathe patience, and he felt it settling into his chest. The greenhouse held corners of astonishing calm. A pool of water reflected the petals above, doubling the soft glow of every bloom. Light moved across the glass roof like liquid gold, illuminating hidden details. Tiny blossoms nested within larger ones, delicate vines twisting in spirals that seemed endless. And as the traveler walked through the greenhouse, he became aware of something remarkable. Time itself felt gentle here, as if it had softened and slowed to meet him. The gardener approached him then, placing a small, hand-carved wooden hourglass upon the table. The sand inside shimmered like sunlight filtered through leaves. "Take this with you," the gardener whispered. "It is not meant to count hours, but to remind you that time can be calm, that you can move through life without haste." The traveler took the hourglass, feeling the cool wood beneath his fingers. A wave of serenity washed through him, deeper than any he had felt on his long journeys. He realized that the garden, the hourglasses, the flower clocks, they were teaching him something fundamental. That rest is not wasted, that pauses are not lost, and that even in motion, one can carry the stillness of a quiet garden in the heart. He lingered a little longer, tracing his fingers along the petals, inhaling the scents, listening to the soft rhythm of the flowers. Finally, with a slow, deliberate step, He made his way back toward the glass door. Outside, the golden light of the garden awaited, blending seamlessly with the soft moonlight. And the traveler walked onward, carrying with him the quiet lesson of the greenhouse, of patience, of gentle time, of the calm that lives within every tick of existence. The path ahead beckoned. Beyond the greenhouse lay a mirror-like lake, reflecting stars and moonlight with a perfection that seemed impossible. And the traveler, calm and unhurried, turned his gaze toward that next quiet wonder, ready to continue his slow journey deeper into the secret garden of silent clocks. The traveler left the greenhouse behind, stepping back into the golden glow of the garden. The path wound gently through soft grass, dotted with tiny lanterns that seemed to float just above the earth, casting delicate light across the stones. Ahead, he saw the lake, a vast, mirror-like surface stretched into the distance, reflecting the silver moon and a sky full of stars. The water was so perfectly still that it was impossible to tell where the earth ended and the sky began. He approached the edge, drawn by the calm that seemed to rise from the lake itself. The air smelled faintly of rain and wildflowers, mingling with the crisp night breeze. Each breath he took seemed slower, deeper, more restful than the one before. Scattered across the water floated clocks of all kinds: pocket watches, small brass clocks, delicate pendulums, each one perfectly still, as though time had paused entirely to honor this serene place. The traveler reached out, touching the smooth surface of the lake with the tip of his fingers. Ripples spread lightly, shimmering across the reflection of the stars, and he felt as though he were touching the pulse of the universe itself. He found a flat rock at the edge and sat down, his feet brushing the cool grass. The lake held no sound, save for the occasional rustle of a leaf in the wind. Time here did not move forward or backward. It simply existed, gentle and unhurried. The traveler let his thoughts float like the clocks on the water. Moments from his past rose softly and faded again, not urgent, not pressing, only drifting by like leaves in a slow current. Above him, the stars twinkled with quiet patience, each one holding a story, a memory, a secret that had waited patiently for a listener. He realized that here, at this lake, even the moments he had hurried through in life seemed to stretch out and breathe. They became soft, manageable, and meaningful, as if time itself had chosen to care for him. A small wooden rowboat floated nearby, tied to a post with a silken rope. The traveler slid into it slowly, feeling the gentle sway as the water welcomed him. He drifted toward the center of the lake, where the reflection of the moon became brighter, almost tangible. Around him, the clocks floated like guardians, each suspended in its own still moment, silently reminding him that there was no rush, no deadline, only the quiet present. As the boat glided gently over the water, he noticed tiny lights beneath the surface, soft glimmers that moved like fireflies trapped in liquid glass. They traced gentle paths, illuminating the lake in patterns that seemed deliberate yet effortless, guiding him deeper into the peace of the night. The traveler leaned back, resting his head against the smooth wood of the boat. He closed his eyes and let the rhythm of his breathing match the subtle sway of the water. Every inhalation carried serenity. Every exhalation released tension. Minutes, or perhaps hours, passed, though he did not measure them. The lake did not rush, nor did it expect him to. He felt as though he were floating within time itself, suspended, safe, and completely at ease. At last, the boat reached a small island at the center of the lake. A single, ancient tree rose from its midst, its branches wide and protective, casting gentle shadows on the water. The traveler stepped ashore, feeling the cool grass beneath his feet, and approached the tree with quiet reverence. Its trunk was strong and steady, a symbol of endurance and calm. The traveler pressed a hand to its bark, feeling a pulse, soft, almost imperceptible, but real. It was as if the tree held the heartbeat of the entire garden, steady, eternal, reassuring. He sat beneath the tree, closing his eyes once more. The lake reflected the night sky perfectly, and the clocks floated silently, guarding him with their stillness. The traveler allowed himself to drift, not toward any destination, but simply into the Sere. The traveler left the island in the center of the lake, stepping lightly onto the soft grass of the path beyond. The golden glow of the garden surrounded him, wrapping him in warmth and serenity as he continued his slow journey. Soon, the path led him to a forest unlike any he had ever known. The trees were tall and graceful, their leaves a soft green that shimmered faintly in the moonlight. But what made this forest extraordinary were the clocks, sun clocks, nestled among the branches, perched on trunks, and resting in the clearings. These were not ordinary clocks. Their faces glowed with gentle sunlight, even though the sky above was dark. The hands moved not in haste, but in long, sweeping arcs, tracing a rhythm that felt both familiar and entirely new. The shadows they cast danced softly on the forest floor, twisting and stretching in slow, mesmerizing patterns. The traveler walked slowly, savoring each step. The leaves whispered above him, brushing lightly against each other in a sound like soft bells or gentle wind chimes. Every shadow, every patch of light, seemed to have a life of its own, guiding him forward, inviting him to explore without hurry. He paused at a small clearing where the sunlight from the clocks pooled into a warm circle on the ground. Sitting there, he felt a deep connection to the rhythm of the forest. It was as though the sun clocks themselves were breathing, inhaling and exhaling in harmony with his own heart. Every second felt full, yet effortless. As he wandered deeper, he noticed a small wooden bench beneath an enormous oak. Its branches were draped with golden leaves, and perched on every branch were tiny sun clocks, glowing faintly as if the entire tree itself were alive with the passing of time. The traveler sat down, letting his hands rest lightly on his knees. He watched the play of light and shadow, feeling the slow, steady heartbeat of the forest move through him. From a distance, he noticed a parchment pinned gently to one of the tree's branches. Its edges fluttered softly in the night breeze. Curious, he walked closer and read the words inscribed in delicate script. Time is not to be chased or measured here. It is to be felt, to be held softly, like the petals of a flower, like the sway of leaves in a quiet forest. Every moment is a gift, every pause a treasure. The traveler smiled. The forest seemed to agree with the words, each sun clock shining as if in quiet acknowledgement. He realized that the garden was teaching him not only to rest, but to experience the gentle flow of time, unhurried, unpressured, peaceful. He wandered slowly among the trees, noticing every detail. The subtle rustle of leaves, the way the shadows moved across the mossy ground, the faint glow of sunlight captured in each tiny clock. He touched the bark of the ancient trees, feeling their steady strength, their patient endurance. With each step, he felt lighter, as if the worries he carried had been absorbed by the forest itself. At the heart of the forest, the path opened to a quiet glade. Here, the largest sun clock of all rested, its face luminous and wide, its hands moving so slowly that it seemed almost eternal. The traveler approached and placed his hand upon it. A wave of calm passed through him, gentle and profound. He realized that he could stay here forever, suspended in the quiet rhythm of the forest, feeling the slow passage of time like a gentle heartbeat. The traveler leaned back, closing his eyes beneath the branches, listening to the soft rustle of the leaves, and letting the glow of the sun clocks wash over him. Every breath he took was a note in the quiet symphony of the forest. Every heartbeat echoed softly in harmony with the unseen pulse of the garden. And in that stillness, he knew that he had learned something precious. That time, when experienced slowly and mindfully, could be a source of peace, a soft cradle for the spirit, a gentle river carrying him toward rest. Eventually, as all journeys do, he rose from the glade, ready to continue. Beyond the forest, he glimpsed the silhouette of a corridor lined with pendulums and bell-like clocks, swaying gently in the night. And with a calm heart and steady step, the traveler moved onward, deeper into the secret garden of silent clocks. After leaving the tranquil sun clock forest behind, the traveler continued along a narrow, winding path. The garden seemed to guide him, each step gentle, unhurried, as though the very earth beneath him wished for him to move with care. Soon, he reached a corridor unlike anything he had encountered before. Tall arches of iron and glass lined both sides, and within them swayed pendulum clocks of all sizes. Each clock had a small bell, delicate and shining, though none of them rang. They moved in soft, rhythmic swings, a silent symphony of time suspended. The traveler stepped inside. The air was cooler here, carrying the faint scent of polished wood and old metal. The corridor stretched far into the distance, and as he walked, the pendulums seemed to respond to his pace, swaying in gentle synchrony with his steps. The soft, rhythmic motion was hypnotic, soothing, like a lullaby without sound. He paused to observe a large grandfather clock, its bell resting silently above its face. Though it did not chime, the traveler felt a quiet energy emanating from it, a sense of patience and steadfastness. Every swing of the pendulum reminded him to slow down, to take each step deliberately, to breathe deeply and evenly. Along the corridor, smaller clocks hung from hooks and branches, swinging lightly in the still air. Some were golden, some silver, some darkened with age, yet all moved with the same graceful rhythm. The traveler noticed that when he slowed his own breath to match the motion of a pendulum, the world seemed to pause entirely. Time became soft, pliable, like silk sliding through fingers. In the middle of the corridor, he discovered a vast bell, larger than any he had seen. It hung in a frame of iron, its surface polished and smooth, reflecting the glow of the surrounding clocks. He approached it with reverence, feeling the subtle hum that seemed to vibrate from its very core. Though the bell remained silent, it exuded a profound presence, as if it were keeping the heartbeat of the garden itself. The traveler leaned closer, resting a hand upon the bell. A warmth spread through him, gentle and encompassing, like a soft embrace. He realized that in this corridor, the passage of time was not marked by rushing hours or ticking seconds. It was measured in calm, in patience, in the quiet rhythm that matched his own breathing and heartbeat. He continued to walk, taking his time with every step. Each pendulum, each silent bell, each shadow cast by the swinging clocks seemed to speak a single message. There is no need to hurry. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Eventually, the corridor opened into a small alcove at the very end. Here, a final pendulum swung slowly, larger than life, moving with a grace that seemed endless. The traveler sat beneath it, closing his eyes. The swing of the pendulum and the silent presence of the bells wrapped him in a cocoon of tranquility, each motion a reminder of the calm that exists when time is experienced softly and mindfully. And in that stillness, he understood a truth he had long forgotten, that even in motion, there is rest. Even in the passage of hours, there is peace. And even in life's journey, one can move forward without losing the quiet center of one's own heart. Rising at last, the traveler continued toward the heart of the garden. Ahead, he could see the soft glow of a clearing where a great tree rose, its branches heavy with clocks of every kind. The final stage awaited, the place where all the lessons of the garden would come together, where the traveler could rest completely under the timeless embrace of the secret garden of silent clocks. The traveler stepped out of the corridor of bell clocks, and before him stretched the heart of the garden. A soft golden light filled the space, warmer than the glow of the moon or the shimmer of the hourglasses. Here, time seemed to float, unmeasured and effortless, like a gentle stream carrying him forward without rush or resistance. In the center of the clearing rose a grand, ancient tree, its trunk wide and strong, its branches sprawling high into the sky. Every branch bore clocks of every kind: pendulums, hourglasses, sun clocks, bell clocks, and even tiny pocket watches balanced delicately on the leaves. The air around the tree shimmered, alive with the soft hum of stillness, as though the entire garden exhaled in quiet harmony. The traveler approached the tree slowly, feeling a sense of reverence settle in his chest. He touched the bark. It was solid and warm beneath his fingers, pulsing faintly with life, steady and eternal. He placed his hand over his heart and realized that the tree's rhythm matched his own, a slow, comforting beat that reminded him he had returned to himself. Seated beneath the tree, he looked up at the clocks, suspended in their branches. None ticked, none moved forward in haste. They all existed in perfect harmony, each one a reminder that time was not to be conquered or chased, but embraced and honored. Around the tree, soft flowers of every color bloomed, petals moving slowly as though breathing. Their fragrances mingled, filling the clearing with scents of lavender, jasmine, and fresh rain. The traveler inhaled deeply, allowing the aromas to settle in him, calming every thought, easing every worry. A gentle breeze swept through the garden, carrying the faintest whispers. Rest now. You are safe. You are home. You are enough. The traveler closed his eyes, letting the stillness sink into every part of him. He felt the weight of the world fall away. He felt the river of time slow, carrying him gently into a space where nothing demanded him, nothing pressed upon him, nothing required action. Only peace, only presence, only rest. Hours could have passed, or perhaps only moments. He did not care. The golden light, the softly swaying petals, the silent clocks, the gentle rhythm of the tree, they all wove together into a perfect lullaby. Every inhale drew serenity in. Every exhale released tension. He leaned back against the tree and allowed himself to drift, fully surrendering to the timeless embrace of the garden. The clocks above, the hourglasses, the pendulums, they had all guided him here, to a place where time existed differently. Here, he could simply be. The stars overhead reflected in his closed eyelids, like tiny points of understanding and comfort. He felt connected, deeply and quietly, to the garden, to the night, to himself. And for the first time in a very long time, the traveler slept, completely, gently, without worry or haste. The secret garden of silent clocks held him in its soft embrace, keeping time for him, guiding him into the deepest, most restorative sleep he had ever known. Outside, the moon traced slow arcs across the sky. The garden remained, eternal and patient, waiting to welcome anyone who sought the quiet, timeless peace it had to offer. And so, in the heart of the garden, with the gentle glow of countless clocks surrounding him, the traveler dreamed, cradled in the serenity of a place where time itself rested, and he rested with it.